Hello and welcome back to Foos Entertainment for my review of Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Also known, in my personal opinion, is the hardest to watch and shittiest installment in the entire franchise. And I'm sorry if that offends people who like this overly colorful, overly perky, overly cameo every 5 fucking seconds. Not interesting story, but no real good execution. To all sorts of comedy that really drags the movie down. It becomes more of a comedy movie that belongs on your comedy section of your entertainment collection, or a comedy section in an old Blockbuster or Showtime video store or Hastings. So many bad things to say about this movie. We might go over 15 minutes on this one. Alright. I understand that Rachel was trying, to kind of play off with the perks of Twin Peaks, which was a popular show at the time, and go ahead and play off of having more of a story background for Freddy and all that stuff. I also like the idea of, Freddy had a daughter, and his daughter was taken away from him after killing his wife because she found out that he was a spring-blooded slasher, or a serial killer that killed children. Plays more off of how he was picked on as a kid because he was the result of a nun being raped hundreds and millions of times. But when you try to put it all together, if you were to make a gothic, in-your-face, more serious, no comedy, no color, just dark, gritty, and stuff like that, this would have been a great movie. But that's not what we got with this movie. I mean, this is like the Freddy Krueger movie that if you want to go ahead and invite all your friends over just to smoke marijuana all night long after going to school, in high school days, when you were a high school teenager and you want to watch a movie that goes well with you drinking a keg of beer and smoking bongs of, marijuana of a big bong. This is the movie for you because it fits perfectly with that type of thing. But if you're looking for a serious Freddy Krueger movie that is scary and has an interesting story and is innovative and genius, you're not going to get that with this movie. To put it this way, the tagline of this movie is, they saved the best for last. This is not the best. This is the worst. This is silly for me to say this, but I actually like A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge, much more than I like this. That movie is gay as that movie is. At least that movie it has moments where it's scary. It has some innovative ideas in it. It's not in-your-face colorful. It's a gothic, atmospheric movie. This on the other hand, let's give you a little bit of an idea. These are the people you have making a cameo in the movie. Roseanne Arnold, Tom Arnold, Alice Cooper, Bob Shea again. That's just to name some. There's probably a whole bunch of other cameos I forgot about. And stuff like that. Yeah, the characters. You got some guy who's deaf. They like to tone people out when they don't want to listen to him. You got a stoner who wants to get high all the time. You got a traumatized teenager. He suffers from serious PTSD that just wants to fight anyone and everybody who touches her. It has anger management issues. And tries to come across too much like a tomboy, like she's like wants to become a man or something. Then you have our main character. Our main two characters, that is, which of course would be John Doe, because we never figure out what his real name is, because Freddy played with his mind enough to where he got amnesia, doesn't know who he is. And then of course we got the main character, which is played by Lisa Zane, who plays this child psychiatrist who happens to be the daughter of Freddy. She forgot about it and has to go through repressed memories to figure it out and battle it out with him. Alright, well, enough picking on this movie. Let's go ahead and talk about the premise of the film. Alright, the premise of the ridiculously boring and in-your-face Freddy's Dead Final Nightmare. Taking place 10 years after the events of all the other movies. We find out that all the Elm Street children are dead, and that 10 years later, miraculously, one of them survived. Freddy has been tossing them around in dream worlds all over the fucking place, and basically he wants to play doggy go fetch thing is what he kind of calls it, but he wants to go ahead and use him, and he uses him in a way to where he goes ahead and gives the kid amnesia, and it points him in the right direction so that he could find his way to this shelter that harvests strays and runaway teenagers and troubled teenagers. He gets in there, makes a bond with one of the main psychiatrists, played by Lisa Zane, who plays this character named Maggie Porter, and basically she finds out that his nightmares are almost like in a shared union with her nightmares. We have this this dream doctor played by the villain from Live and Let Die, when it plays Kanangus, but I can never quite remember his name. He was also in The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And basically, he believes that he can help these children through sleep and dream psychology, or some shit like that. And basically, he says something bad's going to happen. And so he suggests that that this John Doe and Maggie go to Springwood and discover maybe something that would make his mind click and remember things. When over there, she remembers more about her. And the town has no children because Freddy's killed all the fucking children. So the town's all weird. This is where you have cameos and weird, bizarre people acting nuts and stuff like that. And it really is like something out of Twin Peaks. So I guess Rachel got what she wanted at making Twin Peaks Freddy Krueger style, with all that atmospheric stuff. And basically we find out that Freddy had a child. And then when John Doe thinks that it's him, Freddy uses his fear of heights, which is his main thing that Freddy uses against him. Is he has hyperphobia, scared of heights, and Freddy uses it a lot in nightmaric ways. This is sort of after using the stoner's a little obsession of I want to be like my dad, and using that against him in a dream-like nightmaric way, and kills the stoner. We find out that Spencer's the stoner. We find out Carlos, who's the one that has the hearing disability, got the hearing disability because his mom would literally torture him in a lot of ways with putting Q-tips into his ears, and they caused him to have permanent hearing loss. Plays with that a bit, gives that guy hypersensitive hearing, and then kills him with it by blowing his head off. Which of course leads to John. John gets all information, which of course would help Maggie throughout the movie if he had a chance to tell her. And then Freddy devours him by cutting him off of a parachute in a dreamscape world, and he falls on spikes in the ground, not knives, and he dies. Oh. And then that's just before he's about to tell Maggie he's not a boy, he's a girl, and Freddy had a daughter, not a son. But he died before he had a chance to do that. Freddy starts stalking the remaining survivors from the trip to Springwood in the shelter. What's interesting is I guess Carlos and Spencer and John are forgotten. It's almost like the memories of them with the faculty and the other children within the clinic disappeared with their deaths. But yet some kids are dreaming about Carlos or some shit like that, at least according to the the troubled teenager female character. So I remember her name real quick. Like I said, this might go over 15 minutes, but I don't care. Let's see. What's her name? Tracy. Yeah, Tracy. Freddy uses Tracy's little fear of her father against her by emasculating this father in a nightmare. She gets out of it. Our dream psychiatrist has out running with Freddy, figures out you can take things out of the nightmare world into harsh reality. Maggie figures out who she is, so she's Freddy's daughter. Then the climax of the film is Maggie goes into Freddy's brain and figures out who he is and figures out the history of Freddy, and then they have a battle out with him after pulling him into reality and blow him up with dynamite, and that's pretty much the end. Audio video quality, because I'm going to try to make this at 15 minutes. I don't want to talk about this movie too much. So audio and video quality. Very good digital transfer and HD transfer, but this is one thing I never liked about this movie. It has a complete lack of nostalgia and a complete lack of gothicness. This is like a pop culture music video, in your face, brightly, overly lit movie. That's the easiest way to describe Freddy's Dead Nightmare video-wise. Audio-wise, this is like a Adobe Stereo configured movie. So you have a lot of stereo-like surround effects going around with the movie. So it's not like a character-driven sound mix for a movie. It's more of a directional-driven sound mix for a movie. Having a whole lot to do with just being a pop cultural movie. It's like an in-your-face pop culture, well, overly colorful, funny, more comedic-like movie. It just has no place with me in the Freddy Krueger movies. I'm sorry. I know that there's some people out there that like this movie, and I'm okay with that. I think it's cool you like this movie. Some people should, but I'm not one of them. I always cringe when I get to this movie, and that's why next year I'm not going to be doing really the movies I'm doing this year. I'm going to be doing a whole different load of scary movies next year. That we'll be reviewing then. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about Freddy's Dead Nightmare, also known as the comedy, in-your-face, just bizarre installment in the series. And the first one is not officially a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, but it's actually kind of like a conclusion to the film series. It's just put there to kill Freddy off. It's kind of what I would say about it. And of course, the next movie in the Nightmare film series, New Nightmare, is just on its own too. But that film I like, and I will go into a lot of reasons why I think it's one of the best horror films ever fucking made, and I will definitely get to that. Well, I'll see you guys next time for my review of Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday. A film I also love, but also hate. At least that one I like a little bit. This one I do not. I'm sorry. Well, I will see you guys then for my review of Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday. Until then.